The value of obscure things. In a world full of trends and popularity, it's easy to ignore the obscure. People are often drawn to what's famous, easy to find, or widely accepted. But sometimes, the most beautiful ideas, places, or people are hidden in obscure corners of life. Take literature, for example. Many readers stick to bestsellers, while obscure novels, ones written by lesser-known authors, sit untouched on library shelves. Yet some of these books contain powerful stories, deep messages, and unforgettable characters. Their obscure status doesn't mean they're less valuable, only less discovered. Similarly, in science and history, some of the greatest breakthroughs came from obscure researchers working outside of big institutions. Their names may remain unknown, but their contributions changed the world. In fact, fame can often obscure the real story. When only the loudest voices are heard, quieter, but just as important, voices are forgotten. Even in everyday life, we sometimes obscure our own talents by constantly comparing ourselves to others. We might think, I'm not special, simply because we don't shine in the same way as someone else. But hidden strengths are no less real, just more obscure. Learning to appreciate the obscure means choosing depth over surface, and curiosity over convenience. In doing so, we often find meaning in places we never expected. The power of a breakthrough. A breakthrough is a sudden and important discovery or progress that changes everything. It often happens after a long period of hard work, failure, and waiting. Whether in science, technology, or even in someone's personal life, a breakthrough can feel like a miracle, but it's usually the result of effort and persistence. In medicine, for example, the development of a vaccine is often considered a scientific breakthrough. It can save millions of lives and completely change the way we fight disease. Behind every breakthrough, there are years of research and many small steps forward. But breakthroughs don't happen only in labs. Imagine someone who has struggled with fear for years. One day, they give a speech in public, and they realize they can do it. That moment is a personal breakthrough. It opens the door to new confidence and opportunities. In society, major breakthroughs happen when people fight for justice and change. The end of apartheid, women getting the right to vote, and equal marriage rights were all social breakthroughs, moments when the world moved forward. A breakthrough may seem sudden from the outside, but for the person who made it, it often comes after failure, learning, and never giving up. Living a conscious life. In today's busy world, it's easy to live on autopilot, doing things without really thinking. But more and more people are choosing to live in a more conscious way. Being conscious means being aware of your thoughts, actions, and the impact they have on others and the world. For example, someone might become more conscious of what they eat. They start asking questions. Where does this food come from? Is it healthy? Was it produced ethically? This kind of conscious living leads to better decisions and often a better quality of life. Being conscious also means being present. When you're talking to a friend, are you really listening? Or is your mind somewhere else? A conscious person tries to give full attention to the moment they are in. In emergencies, doctors often check if a person is conscious, meaning, are they awake and aware of their surroundings? It's a basic medical term, but it reminds us of how valuable awareness is, not just for survival, but for living well. Living consciously is not always easy. It takes effort, but it helps you grow, make meaningful choices, and live a life that feels more real and connected. No one is inferior. Many people grow up feeling that they are somehow inferior to others, less smart, less attractive, or less successful. Sometimes, this belief comes from comparisons with classmates, siblings, or even celebrities. But the idea that someone is inferior just because they are different is deeply mistaken. In the past, some groups were treated as inferior because of their race, gender, or social class. These beliefs led to unfair laws and discrimination. Today, most of the world agrees that all people should be treated equally, and that no one is born inferior. Still, the feeling of being inferior can live inside our minds. A person may feel inferior at work if they don't have as much experience as others. A student may feel inferior because they learn more slowly. But in reality, being different does not mean being inferior, it simply means having a unique path. One of the biggest dangers of this word is that people who feel inferior may stop trying. They may believe they'll never be good enough, and this thought can prevent them from growing. But with support and confidence, anyone can overcome the feeling of being inferior. It's important to remember, you are not inferior because of where you come from, what you look like, or how you compare to others. Everyone has value, and everyone can succeed in their own way. The problem with constant comparison. We compare things all the time. Comparison helps us make decisions, like choosing the best phone, the cheapest ticket, or the tastiest meal. But when comparison moves from things to people, especially ourselves, it can become a real problem. Social media has made comparison a daily habit. We see other people's perfect photos, exciting holidays, and big successes, and we compare them to our ordinary lives. In comparison, our own lives may suddenly seem boring, or not good enough. This leads to feelings of jealousy, anxiety, and low self-worth. But what we forget is that what we see online is only part of the story. In most cases, it's not a fair comparison, because we're comparing our reality to someone else's highlight reel. Comparison can also happen in school or at work. One person gets better grades, another earns more money, and we start feeling like failures. But every person has a different path, and success looks different for everyone. In many cases, constant comparison only distracts us from our own progress. Of course, not all comparison is bad. Sometimes it motivates us to grow, learn, and improve. The key is to use comparison as a tool, not as a weapon against ourselves.